Right, so I want to finish or want to continue this discussion about hypothesis testing and like what it entails. All right, so when we do this, we're going to draw curves. Uh, uh, all right, let's try this. All right, and so we're going to draw these normal curves with the means always in the middle. All right, and so the options that we discovered before were left-tailed. So the left is shaded. Pretend. Come on now. Pretend it's so awful. Pretend it's under that curve. Two-tailed. There we go. That. I can't color. And then right-tailed, so that's over here. All right, and we're gonna when we do this, you'll find a value. So I don't know, maybe this would be like 1.68. This would be like negative 2.58, positive 2.58, and maybe this one is positive 1.96. I don't know. Okay. All right, and so you'll find these critical values that separate. All right, so a critical value separates the graph, the region, into a critical, which is called the rejection region. All right, and that's the shaded. Those pieces versus the non-critical, which is not the shaded. So it's all this over here. It's this piece here. It's all of that. Okay? And so when it so you're gonna find the critical value, then you're gonna have the test value. Okay, so we have a test value. Maybe there's one right here when this guy, like right there, and it's in the white. And maybe this one we have is right here. It's also in the white, and maybe we have one that's over here in the black. All right, when the test value happens in the shaded, so when it happens in the critical or shaded region, you reject the null. Right. When it's in the like the white piece, then you accept it. Right, and here's how I remember it. Okay, I remember it because media is totally biased, and so of course they would reject stuff that's darker, and they accept stuff that's whiter. Okay, so that's how I remember it. Take it as well. I don't mean any ill harm by the comment. That's just how I remember it. Okay, we're gonna calculate like all these values. It's not as overwhelming as you think. Okay, so just a reminder of the difference between like a one-tailed test. You can have a right-tailed so that it's shaded on the right. You can have a one-tailed left-tailed where it's shaded on the left. Or you can have a two-tailed where it's shaded on either tail. Hypothesis testing for me is like confusing because there's so many steps and we have to go through all of them and then make a conclusion. And we often go and test the opposite of what we're really looking for. So just be patient with yourself. Okay, there's a ton of steps. All right, and so the first thing we do is we state the null and the alternative. Okay, this was the HO. There's a reason I'm calling it that for right now. And then H1. All right, then we do the appropriate level of significance. The problem will tell you, hey, tested alpha is blah, blah, blah. Okay, and when you do that, also write down all the other given information. Then we're going to do the type of test. And so we'll figure out which type of test is best like if there's a population standard deviation, if there is a sample standard deviation, or if it's just like 38 out of the 40 people had a higher blood pressure or something. And the problem will tell you, hey, I want you to do the traditional way, or I want you to do the p-value way. All right, then we find the critical value, and we're going to use a table or a chart, or we'll find the p-value. And we draw the curve and shade where we need to. And then we're going to do the test value, or if you're doing the p-value, use the alpha. Then we're going to compare those two, or we're going to compare the p to the alpha, and we'll decide to reject or accept. And then we're going to summarize and make a conclusion. All right, so that's just the general of the hypothesis. I know it's like really overwhelming, but I think once we do some problems, it shakes out and it's all right. Okay, there is some. It's difficult. I'm not lying, but it's a lot of information at one time. So just give yourself a break and let's go work on some problems. All right, I'll see you next.